Welcome to the video for Module 3. In this video, we will touch on documentation and then look at some basic SQL statements. There are many resources where you can learn about how to write these statements, including your assigned textbook reading. This video assumes you've already done your assigned reading, so if you haven't done that, come back later when you've completed it. You'll also need to have run the script to create the XYZ medical DBF database in order to query that database. Before we get into SQL problems, I want to talk about documentation for just a minute. You will see when I open my queries that I've included a comment at the top, and as you can see, once I make it a comment, it's displayed in green. There are two kinds of comments you can use in your queries. The first is what I've done here, which is a block comment, so I start with a slash asterisk, and I end with an asterisk slash. Typically, this is best if you have a multi-line comment, and in my opinion, it's best to use this to put a comment at the top of every SQL file you write with your name, the date you created the file, and the dates of any modifications with a brief description of those modifications, and an overall description of what the query does. The other kind of comment is a one-line comment, and you can do that by just typing 2 dashes in your comment. There's no need to close the comment because it's only on one line. You can make the comment on its own line, or you can put it after the SQL code. Documentation is very important. You should document within your SQL queries and scripts, and even create separate documentation if necessary. Good documentation is key if you are out sick or you leave a job and someone has to take over for you. Not to mention, you might have lots of different responsibilities, and if you only look at your database every once in a while, you'll likely forget the reasoning behind queries even you wrote yourself. Especially when queries start to get longer and more complicated, make sure you comment and document them as much as possible, because doing so will save time for you and others down the line. Now let's get started on the SQL problems. Rather than just showing you the statements, I'm going to make this a little bit more interactive. I've written some examples of queries you might be asked to write, and I'm going to give you the problem, and I encourage you to pause the video and attempt to write the SQL statement yourself. When you're done, resume the video and I'll show you my solution and how I approach the task of writing the SQL statement. Don't spend too much time or get too stressed out if you can't solve the problem, because remember, we're going to go back through the solutions. So I'll read through the problem and you can pause the video, work on it, and then come back when you're ready to see the solution. Problem 1, write a query to select the full address, address line 1, address line 2, city, state, and zip for each person in the database who lives in Otherton or Skysville. The address should be displayed in one column named address, with each part of the address separated by a comma. Your query should also select the first and last name for each person and be sorted by last name, then first name. Hint, you'll want to use the isNull function to make sure you get all the records that don't have an address line 2. So here's the statement I wrote. In my statement, I'm selecting the person last name, the person first name, then the address by concatenating the address fields, person addr line 1, person addr line 2, person city, person state, and person zip. So all of that. You concatenate using the plus signs, and you put your commas and spaces and single quotes to concatenate those in between the fields. Because many rows in this table have a null value in the person addr line 2 field, I use the isNull function here to select person addr line 2, so if that field is null, an empty string will be displayed instead. The empty string is indicated by this empty single quotes. I've aliased this column by placing as address with our concatenated address directly after my column definition. So in my query result, we'll have a column named address with our concatenated addresses. I'm selecting these columns from the person table, from person, where the person city is in Otherton or Skysville, and I'm ordering the results by person last name, then person first name. So let's run the query. What did I do? I guess I just didn't click the button. So here are results, and here's the column we called address. We aliased address with our concatenated fields and text. Here's our second problem. Write a query to select the person ID, last name, first name, birth date, person gender code, and age in the column aliased age, which is displayed in the format Gwendolyn's age this year is 21. Only select people whose birthday is between January 1, 1990 and December 31st, 2004. Order the rows by first name in reverse alphabetical order. Hence, use the dateDiff function to get the age of each person. So go ahead and pause the video, work out this problem, and then come back. So in this example, I've purposely included an error so we can work through and fix it. My first try looks like this, but when I run it, it gives me an error. So in this statement, I'm selecting the person ID, person last name, person first name, person birth date, person gender, person first name, and then concatenating the first name to text that says '(S) birthday is. You have to use 3 single quotes in order to indicate an apostrophe there. And the age, which I got using the dateDiff function. The first argument you pass to the dateDiff function is the unit of time. So here we're going to use the year. And the next 2 dates are the dates you want the difference between. So we're getting the difference in years between the person's birth date and today's date. So we use the getDate function for that. And we're aliasing that column as age. So the column will be called age. Note that this statement really gets the age the person will turn this year, not necessarily the age as of today, but that's okay since this is just a beginner example. So we're selecting these columns from person, where the person's birth date is between January 1, 1990 and December 31, 2004 using the between phrase. And we're ordering the results by person first name in descending order. So we're listing rows by first name, but we're starting Z at the top and going down to A at the bottom. When I run this, here's the error I receive. Conversion failed when converting the varchar value Unity's age is to data type int. When I read through this error, I realize I was trying to concatenate an integer value to my character value of '(S) birthday is. And that's not going to work. You can only concatenate strings or character values, not integers. So what I had to do here, here's my corrected query, and we'll comment the old one out. I had to use the convert function to convert the age value, which is an integer, to a character value. So my first argument to the convert function is varchar, because I'm going to convert the age to the varchar data type, a commonly used character data type. And the second argument is my original call to dateDiff that I had before. I'm actually calling a function within a function here. When you do that, you're going to have nested parentheses. So you want to pay close attention to the number of parentheses you have. And I also tweaked the wording that's displayed in the age field just to be a little bit more clear. So apostrophe S age this year is, since we're getting their age this year, not necessarily their age today. So let's run the updated statement.